welcome to episode 67 of Ring Talk. Myself, Martin Theobald, and Steve Goodwin, head of Goodwin Boxing. Thank you all of those that have subscribed over the last 7 days, and all those that you've made subscribe, and all the 9-year-olds. My son's class have subscribed.
We've done the 1,000, and now we apply, and it takes 4 to 6 weeks to get the formal approval. So thank you very much for everybody that's helping us do this, and our boxers will be benefiting from this as time goes on.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, we can start to generate income now on the back of doing that, which just allows boxers. Then you can put that money into a pot, and it gets used at some point at your discretion.
Who are struggling, maybe title fights to help them do that. One interesting thing's happened this week before we go into today. This is really interesting. I was with Trevor, who analysed everything. He reckons there is a correlation between ability of a boxer and ability of a golfer. He reckons we were in a debate yesterday. He said, to be a good golfer, you need to have power.
Yeah, hand to eye,
timing, coordination.
Yep.
And he said that if you take a good boxer, they will be a good golfer. You will not get
with the appropriate coaching
because they've got the same skill set. He said a boxer, the driving is the power, the accuracy, the timing of hitting the ball is the same as throwing a punch. And I never had thought about that. And he said, do you understand this correlation? He said, the good boxers actually could benefit from playing golf because it all helps part of the...
I think there's better sports that would be a good correlation.
Yeah.
Cricket. A good batsman.
Yeah, because you still have to
you've got the speed of the timing of the ball come in. Golf's a static object that you're hitting. Baseball, cricket, I'd have thought the batting stroke of that would benefit you.
I think Trevor's is trying to become a boxing expert now. He doesn't listen to us.
He spent too long in the bar.
We were debating this at Anfield last night at midnight. He was debating this with me.
In the bar?
In the bar.
Right. Don't ask. Before we go any further, I've got a message from Mark Butler, who sent me on his latest sponsor, which is Gray's Golf Association.
Oh God, that's topical.
Oddly enough. So Gray's Golf Organisation, so make sure you check them out. If you've got any golfing needs, I haven't got a clue, I'm afraid.
Is it Gray's YS or Z?
Oh, Gray's, in Gray, presumably. Grays.
Oh, in Gray's. You know where Trevor lives?
Gray's.
Grays. Happy as old as that.
Has Trevor sponsored Mark?
No,
has he now set this up?
Maybe this is all about Trevor.
But yeah, Mark Butler, Gray's Golf Association, so if you're around the area.
And Trevor, if you're watching this, you now know where to go and get the equipment from.
If you need gloves, balls, tees,
I bet Mark's a good golfer.
Do you reckon?
Well,
it's sponsored by a golf association.
So this could be that Trevor's thing is actually true.
There you go. Right, so there you go, Mark, and Gray's Golf Organisation. Make sure you check them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this week you've got a show coming. You've got a busy couple of weeks, didn't you?
Yeah.
Next week we'll touch on the other card, headlined by Mendes versus Papa
and Felix Vienne.
Yep.
Great fights. Great. Some good fights next week, and we've just added Umar Sadiq to that.
My mate Umar.
Umar's on. He's having a 6-rounder. So it's a good card next week. Really good card. But let's talk about this week and Josh's show. So that's what we're looking at.
So that's coming up this weekend. So I'm not going to start off on the headline fight. We'll come to that at the end. But what I am going to start off, and I'm purely doing this off box rec because I haven't got a printed piece of paper in front of me. So we'll go from the bottom of the card up. That's only how they've laid it out. It's nothing to do with my preference. Bobby Woods.
Glad to see him back. He's had a long time out.
Yeah, he's only had the one fight, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a few issues. He sort of he thought about quitting for a while, and he's changed training now. He's working with his brother. He's really talented, Bobby. So I'm really glad to see him back, and hopefully now we can get some momentum and building towards titles. He's a really talented kid. All right, one that I've never seen, and it's his debut, which will probably explain it. Jordan Dujon. Yeah, one of Mickey and Moose. I don't actually know much about him.
Okay.
Mickey's over with Richard Comey, and best of luck to Richard Comey in World Title Defence.
IBF World Title Defence.
Yeah. So Mickey's over with him. Jordan, I don't know much about. He's trained by his son. I can't really tell you too much about him.
Is that he's trained by Michael Jr.?
Yeah.
Oh right, okay. I didn't realise he was training.
Yeah, I can't tell you too much. I can't tell you too much about him because I don't really know that much about him. But we'll know a bit more.
Find out Saturday.
Yeah.
Dennis, lights out Wahome.
He's moving towards title shots. Another couple more we can put him in.
But he's 5-0 at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah. So 2 more we can start having a look. I think he wants to get in the mix now. He's looking for some good opportunities, so I'm looking forward to seeing him box. He's had a last minute change of opponent, which hasn't been the most ideal, but you know, he wants to get this one done, just clock the numbers up, because at this stage now it's about number clocking to get. He doesn't qualify for titles yet, so he's got to clock the numbers up.
So you think he's ready talent wise and experience wise?
He needs 2 or 3 more.
Yeah,
2 or 3 more. But yeah, he needs to push on though.
So Terry Zunke,
another one of Mickey and Moose. He's fighting Robbie Chapman, who's 4-0, so it's a good fight.
Yep.
Again, he's one of Mickey's fighters that he's bringing along. He's brought him over from Germany, so he's going to be very interesting to see how he does.
Mickey's got a wide net, isn't he?
He goes and plots.
Yeah, he finds like not obscure, but like random places almost.
He's talent. So again, we'll see more about him on Saturday. I know he's had his 1 win, but Robbie's no fall over, so it'll be a good fight.
Where are we on to? Ellis Zorro, 5-0.
Now, he's really doing well. I mean, Ellis came with very limited experience, and he's really impressed me. He beat Ken Copinion, didn't he, 39-38, and he's really not put a foot wrong as pro. And I think Ellis could be a dark horse in the stable. He's somebody that he's just defying the experience that he's had before turning pro, and I'm really excited about Ellis.
Yeah. Before I go any further on this, I should have mentioned we've got the by magic a bit with me and Josh coming up later, and then a bit with me and Ricky Heavens, who's fighting next weekend, and then a bit with me, you, and Ricky Heavens doing the Q&A. So stay tuned for all of that. I should have mentioned it earlier. Mark Butler, spoken of earlier.
They were really exciting. Really exciting on his debut. Really looking forward to seeing him again. He's really got all the attributes. I think he finds ticket selling quite difficult, so that's a bit of an issue for him. It's not the easiest when you're down in Kent, but it's something we'll try and have a look at address with him. But yeah, he's extremely talented. Yeah. I really rate him.
Agreed. Daryl Church.
He's off.
Is not fighting this weekend. Sorry. Jack Owen.
He's only 1-0. He's having his 2nd fight. Today, he's a young lad. He will need time, and you know, he's got the attributes to be very good, but he just needs to be brought along at the right pace. And I've just been speaking to Ricky Heavens upstairs about this, and it's about Ricky Heavens, as you know, I've spoken to him before about the Warrington manoeuvre, and that's what you need to do with these young prospects. You really build them slowly and not rush them. You've got to be. This is what a good manager's about: is knowing when to press the buttons.
Yeah, and I know from speaking with Ricky in the past, about half hour ago, that you'll see when it's clipped into here, he's very accepting of the fact that he needs to move slowly. He doesn't need to be rushed at all. He's got that luxury almost of having the solid backing of supporters that buy tickets to come and watch him. So he's got, I say, it is almost a luxury, but it's not a luxury that he's gifted. It's a luxury that he's worked towards, that allows him to take his time a little bit more than some prospects maybe would.
Exactly.
So yeah, we'll go on. Kieran Joseph debut.
Yeah, he's having his debut fighting Paul Cummings. He opens the show. Trained up in Norwich. Rob Hodges trains him. You know, he didn't have a lot of experience before he's turned pro, so you know we're hoping for good things. But you know we got to take it on board that he's not had vast amateur experience. So it's going to be a slow progress for him, and we'll know a lot more about him on Saturday night. Same thing as when Ish O'Connor. He's had similar experience to Ish O'Connor, and I was surprising how good Ish O'Connor is. And I'm hoping to feel the same about Kieran when I see him on Saturday. And
you got a few from out in that East Anglia way. I know you kind of previously talked about potentially running a show out there, kind of Peterborough way, Norwich way, something like that. As the numbers start to swell up again a little bit, is that something that you would?
Yeah, we will. So we're going to be doing one down in Devon, Plymouth way. So yeah, as we build up the numbers, we'll go to the areas. It's really a simple process.
One that's a shame they got kind of changed last minute. Dean Richardson.
Gutted.
Yeah.
He's fighting Nathan Graham in final eliminator for the Southern area.
Yeah.
And now we've had to get him a Russian in last minute, tough Russian. But for Dean, he's a professional. So, and I've got high hopes for Dean, but I'm just gutted for him that he hasn't got the chance to demonstrate against a really good quality opponent like Nathan Graham what he is. I think the guy's fight is tough, but this isn't a Nathan Graham fight, and it's a shame for Dean that he has had that taken from him, but it is what it is. What can you do?
Is there a risk that he is more susceptible to a loss because, I don't know, and I'm not saying this is the case, but is there a risk that he's so pissed off about the fact that fight's changed last minute, he's so pissed off he's having to get a Russian opponent in, that actually he just goes in there, tries to bomb him out early doors?
It's possible. That's 100%, it depends on how he's got a good trainer, Gary Logan. Hopefully they'll have him focused, but anything is possible. But yeah, he's not going to be in the...
Do you worry more about that as a manager of him, that actually his mindset, I'm not saying it'll be wrong, but it'll be different than it should have been?
I think he's quite sensible, Dean. I think he knows he's only a fight away from a title fight, so I think he knows.
Yeah. Okay. Ryan Walker, another Mickey Moose.
Yeah, I mean, he had the fight with Michael Ramabalazza for the English, where he came up short. I think experience showed there, and it's just part of his rebuild process. But I think after this fight, he'll be heading towards the Southern Area title.
Yeah. Jerome Campbell.
I rate him.
Yeah.
Really good fighter. And I'm looking again. Jerome, I think he's 5-0.
Through the magic of my memory, yeah, he's 5-0.
5-0.
Courtesy of BoxRec.
Okay, again, we'll be 6. We're getting to the numbers needed, so we're going to be looking sometime before the 10-0 mark to be moving towards titles, and I'm going to want to see now that it's now trying to make the judgment as to when we press the button with him. But again, a couple more yet, but we're getting there.
But he's in exciting fights, Jerome. I like watching him.
Great fighter.
He's good fun.
Really exciting.
Another one who's in exciting fights typically, Mark Little.
Yeah, Mark Little's
not always exciting from a manager's perspective. I'm sure that he gets drawn into a bit of a firefight, but he's come out 11 wins.
He's in the same boat as Dean Richardson. He was in a really exciting fight with Kent Corpinion.
Yeah.
And Kent Corpinion's been beating really good prospects, but Mark was head on facing that. Unfortunately, Kent has had his licence suspended by the board for doing something against the board rules or whatever they believe, so they've got a hearing for him. So literally we've had to replace Kent, and now he's having to fight a heavyweight instead, so he's fighting Phil Williams.
Yeah.
Which is an idea where he's been preparing for 7 weeks for Kent Corpinion.
That's such a pain in it. Of all the stresses that you guys have in the build up to a fight week, is to have something. So Kent took part in an MMA fight, and therefore he's not allowed to fight under British Boxing Board control rules. Like, of all the things that could go wrong in the build up to a fight week, that's probably not one that you can ever foresee happening.
No, so it's just gutting. And for Mark, I was really excited because I thought a good showing against Kent, and if he handles him right, really puts him in the title mix, because it's a case where Mark went to press a button and go for titles. And I know he trained really hard for this particular fight because he knew he was in it was dangerous.
Yeah, there was jeopardy with it.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Is it the same as I was saying with Dean, the risk? Exactly. And now he's actually going up in weight as well, because Phil's no pusher.
Well, basically, Kent Corpinion was going to box him at 14-4. Phil's going to be about 16-12.
Yeah.
But what do we do? There's no other fight at this late notice to get for him, so we've had to do it.
And well done to Phil as well.
Phil's great, isn't he?
Yeah. What a man.
You ring Phil up. Phil, I need you. Can you do this fight? Yeah, no problem.
And I don't think it'd matter who it was. If you said to him, mate, AJ needs someone, Fury needs someone.
He'll fight anybody. As long as the money's right for him, he'll fight anybody.
Yeah. And I bet that wouldn't be his first question either, would it?
No, he just says yes, and then he leaves me. he knows that with me he's going to get the right money, whether it's on a show I'm involved with or another show. I'll always get him the most I can get him.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the headline fight of the evening. Southern Area Super Welterweight title. Sean Robinson taking on John Brennan.
Good fight. It's going to be a good fight. John Brennan is no pushover. He's done things the hard way. He's had some real decent fights and been in with decent people and won some, lost a couple. But it's another test. I mean, he fought Josh Povey when he won the title, who was a mover. This guy's more of a fighter, box fighter. So it's a totally different test for Sean. But if he comes through this, he will then have the choice to meet his mandatory, which I think will be I'm hoping, well, for Dean's point of view, that he'll be elevated to mandatory after being pulled out, and then he'll have to either fight Dean or move on towards the English area.
Yeah.
That'll be a decision Sean makes after the fight.
Do you think Sean is one of the most underappreciated Southern Area title holders? Because he's so quiet. You don't hear from him on social media. You don't see interviews with him.
He doesn't use it at all. So he does it. It's not good because you do need more social media presence because it does hold you back a bit. But Sean is that way inclined. He's quite an unassuming, but he's a really talented fighter and so much better than people realise.
Yeah.
So much better.
Because I remember training down with Linus and Brad, and Luke Robinson was fighting at the time, and Sean came along as like his younger brother in the gym, and he wasn't a pro at the time, but you could see then he had bundles of talent, but yeah, you wouldn't know he's a boxer,
no,
particularly. Does that frustrate you as a manager as well? Do you think, come on, Sean, like you sign up to a Twitter account? Or...
It's going to be, because the problem with it is it's harder for him to break through to TV. If you don't do that side of things, it makes the only way you're going to get a TV fight is going to be in reality being mandated for one of the Matchroom or one of the fighters and going in, but they're not going to be looking at you as you're going to have to force it because they're not going to look at you as a potential.
You're not a saleable asset.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately the way the boxers are looked at.
Yeah.
So because he is what he is, but ability can still take him there.
Yeah.
And so we just he keeps winning. And keeps getting to where he's got to go, then there's no reason he can't. He'll still get there in the end.
And it's a cracking fight. Do you think there's the chance Brennan's going to try and like old man him a bit?
Definitely. I think that's his best chance.
Take him into the trenches, get dirty with
that's
him.
His best chance. Yeah. He's not going to beat Sean in a boxing fight.
And presumably Sean would have prepared for that.
Well, Sean's got a brilliant trainer, Terry Stewart. Terry Stewart.
I reckon Terry's been getting in the ring to old man him.
Listen, he's got a brilliant trainer, and there's no way Terry Stewart has not got him prepared right for this opponent.
Yeah.
He had the right tactics against Cedric Povey, didn't he?
Yep.
And he'll have the right tactics on Saturday.
Yeah. So Saturday, what time do the doors open down at your...
Doors open 4:30. First fight's 5 o'clock. We kick off with Kieran Joseph. And it's going to be a really cracking night. Second fight on is a really good fight. That's Terry Zunke, Robbie Chapman, both undefeated.
Yep.
That's fight number 2. Really good night. And if you're not doing nothing Saturday, get down to York Hall. There will be tickets on the door.
And you can get tickets still from fighters.
Yeah, still available.
Probably not by the time this goes out, but from myfighttickets.com or on the door on the day.
Exactly, whatever you want.
All right, excellent. So now we're going to cut to do something a little bit different and speak with your son, Josh. Are you bothered that he's gone into boxing? Would you prefer him not to be involved in boxing, or?
Well, he's doing both now. He's I'm happier now that he's doing.
He's got the financial advisor.
But he's 2/3 of the way through the financial planning, which, as you know, is a high quality exam, and he's doing really well at that. So I'm glad that he's got that done. Once he's got that done, he has something to hang his hat on in future life, and he'll have a very successful life. Boxing is so unpredictable. You don't know what's coming next. So I think anybody that for him, it's good to have something else to fall back on.
But you'd fully encourage him still to stay involved in the boxing and hybrid the two.
Yeah, still get involved, still do boxing, but it's good for him at his age, when he's not, to have another string to his bow.
How were you when he fought? Because I think I'll probably speak to Josh about it. Is one professional fight?
No, it wasn't for me.
As in, you don't want to see your son in the ring?
No, remember, I've got to manage my wife. And she didn't want him to do it.
I know, she offered big money to Josh not to fight.
Yeah.
More money, not that Josh was making any money really out of it anyway, did it because he wanted to do it.
She was offering him money, she was going to get money from the account and give it to him, and it was everything. So if anything went wrong or we got hurt, then I was going to get it. So I had to manage that situation. So it was a very difficult situation to manage.
Yeah.
I was glad when it was over with, and I was glad when he decided he didn't want to do it again.
Well, when he retired undefeated?
Retired undefeated boxer.
So I'm going to speak with Josh, and you can hear about his financial planning, his involvement in boxing, how he got started with it, all that stuff. And then later on, you're going to hear from Ricky Heavens as well. I'm having a brief interlude to chat with the very jet-lagged Josh Goodwin. Yeah. That could be your ring name if you ever make it back.
Never, I'm too fat now. So.
Too fat. It might make heavy.
That's too heavy, yeah.
So Josh, for those of you that don't know, is promoter, jack of all trades, editor, social media expert, What else do you do at Goodwin Boxing?
Pretty much everything you can imagine with a boxing promotional company. Yeah, pretty much everything.
So, I mean, for those that don't know what goes on behind the scenes at a boxing promotional company, like, we see Steve on here every week, who's your old man, who's the kind of face of Goodwin Boxing, and then there's yourself and Kev and Alan that each take on separate parts behind the scenes. So that might be ticketing, matchmaking, working with the boxers. What other stuff is there that people know about?
Design work, obviously the UK matchmaking, like liaising with the venues, security, so on, that sort of stuff. This is all the little nitty and gritty stuff that people don't like to see behind the scenes.
Organising doctors, does that fit in with you?
Not really, mainly do that. We do the ambulances, but the doctors all come through the board and that.
So, were you interested in boxing from a young age and got into it, or was it more that your dad does it, so you got into it?
I wouldn't say young age, but I'd say like the Ricky Hatton, like towards the end of the Ricky Hatton era is when I started becoming interested in boxing. Like when
who you met recently?
Yeah, I met recently in Vegas, so I think the Floyd Mayweather fight was the first major fight that piqued my interest. Like when I was really young, I did like Lennox Lewis, but I think once Lennox stopped, then there was a brief period where I didn't really care about boxing. I got back in towards like 2008.
So you missed the Naz era?
Yeah, I missed all that.
Eubank and Ben.
Yeah, I missed all that. But yeah, towards the end of Lennox, then towards the end of Ricky's when I really started getting into it.
Yeah. And so nowadays, I kind of alluded to it earlier, but you've had a fight, a professional fight.
I had a professional fight.
You're undefeated.
That's why I tell everyone, undefeated. Don't say that the amount of fights. Retired undefeated professional boxer, and that usually makes them go, wow.
So there's no ambition to come back?
No. I like eating and drinking too much, as you can probably see with the gut.
But you still like to spar now and then?
Yeah, I do every now and again. I still train, believe it or not. I'll be bigger otherwise. But yeah, it's like friends do boxing and that, and I'll help them out sparring wise and that. And yeah.
But outside of boxing, it's not just the boxing that you kind of reflect your dad with. You also have headed down the financial advisor route.
Yeah, I'm 4 exams down out of 6 to be a qualified financial advisor. So hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be able to. I'll be fully licensed and move on, do further exams, get higher qualifications. That's the long-term aim.
So what would that allow you to do when you finish those on? Is that like mortgage advice or loan advice?
The ones I'm doing at the moment would be financial advice, protection, so on, and mortgages as well. Pretty much be probably like February next year. We'll do a little bit extra for that.
Yeah.
That's the easy part, so I'll leave that till last.
So what would be the ultimate aim then? Would it be to go down the financial route or the boxing route, or to hybrid the two?
Hybrid the two is like the main aim.
Yeah.
Because boxing is a crazy business.
It's a mug's game.
Yeah, so you're never going to earn like really good money. Whereas you've got the potential if you work hard enough and do the right stuff, right things, you earn some nice money to have a good life.
So is the aim then that you take on your dad's business when he's had enough and decides to walk away?
No, I think I have to grow my bit within the business because he will never retire.
Ever.
He's just like, he takes a day off on a Sunday, he's like pulling his hair out.
So we've got the show coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're looking forward to about it.
Obviously the main event, Sean Robson versus John Brennan for the Southern Areas could be a potential classic. John's like a good, strong, come forward, hits hard. Sean's a slick mover boxer, which you saw against Jacopovi. They've got obviously Dean Richardson on the undercard, was meant to have a big fight with Nathan Graham, but obviously unfortunately Nathan pulled out. I think Dean is a potential superstar. He's obviously, 906 or 7 stoppages, knocking most people out, so he's one to watch. You've got Ellis Zorro, big hit in light heavyweight cruiserweight. I took on the pads once. Honestly, nearly took my shoulder out. I couldn't believe it. So I think he's going to be one to watch. Yeah, so it's a good show.
I know that, like your dad, you won't tell me who's your favourite to watch. What's your favourite style of fighter to watch when you're sat ringside?
See, it's a hard one because I do like when two people just come forward and try and hit each other.
A Dana Zaxo style.
Yeah, but I really do appreciate like a Floyd Mayweather, Tyson Fury type, but like even Vladimir Klitschko to a degree where they're so good at what they do, they just nullify everything you do.
But they can box to a game plan.
Yeah, some people obviously hate it, but I think some people that appreciate how hard boxing can be, you admire their style more than others.
Yeah, and as an undefeated boxer yourself.
Obviously, yeah, I want to know.
And who are you looking forward to seeing progress over the next kind of 12 months out of Goodwin Boxing stable?
we obviously got the likes of Linus and Brad that are up there title-wise. I think Yusuf Komori is one to really watch. Obviously Dean's fighting on the weekend. I think they're the two next ones that could be going for titles.
Yeah, so a lot that are coming up underneath.
There's obviously a lot underneath, but I think they're the ones that could be like
next in line.
Yeah, and obviously Mike Little as well, who's 10, 11 and 0, cruiserweight. Cool. One to watch as well.
Cool. Right, well, let us know if you want to see more of Josh. We can get him on here. He can discuss his fighting career, all 4 rounds of them. But yeah, no, let us know if you want to hear more of Josh, more of what he does at Goodwin Boxing. There's stuff that I've missed out, stuff about the financials. If you want mortgage advice, come to him in February, and I'm sure he can give it to you. But until then, we'll speak to you soon. With me is Ricky Heavens, super welterweight. How you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. You?
I'm alright, thank you. You're fighting on the 6th of July?
Yeah, 6th of July, you're cool.
Yep, you're cool. Any sponsors shout out before we get any further into this? Let's do this.
How long have you got?
As long as you want, go for it.
First of all, Southpaw Jab, they've been following my career since when I started helping with the promotional side of things, posters, everything.
I see them off on Twitter doing a very good job.
Yeah. Q Sports Physio, who again for the last couple of years now been looking after me, keep me injury free, the whole way through camp, and supporting me again. Elim Plan 9 Tattoo, who again helping promote all the fights, looking after me if I need any tattoos.
Do they do your work?
Yeah, they do my work. Yeah, so check them out as well.
I can test this quality.
And Platinum Grade, who for any sort of building works you need anything. Literally anything from roofing, scaffolding, anything there.
So London based or wider?
All across the UK really. Mostly London, but they will travel for work anywhere.
So there you go. Right, that's all the niceties out of the way. Let's get on to your career, Ricky.
Okay.
So you are 7 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss?
That's it, yeah, 7-1-1.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're very early into your career still. You're still a young man. Let's touch on the harder parts of it first. That loss that you had. And people say kind of when you take a loss, you learn a lot more from it than you do from your wins. Is that right?
For me, it was, yeah. I learned more from that fight alone than I probably did for every other fight I've had in my career to that point. And I feel like from the loss, after the loss, even the other fights I've had where I've won, I then learned more through having the loss earlier on.
And what is it that you learned from it? What is is it not to take your foot off the gas, not to lose focus and start thinking?
For me, it was more about taking your foot off the gas and focus. I feel I got a little bit too complacent. Never within my training. I was always working as hard as I could in the gym, but it's more so when I was in the ring, maybe switching off a little bit, allowing my opponent to gain momentum and then struggling to get back into the swing of things after that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that loss that you took, do you think it's detrimental to a young fighter to take those losses? Or do you think actually more should, not go out to lose by any means, but shouldn't be afraid of those losses?
Yeah, no, obviously it's a case of, you know what boxing's like, everyone wants an undefeated record, of course, and no one wants to lose. Plus nowadays everyone seems to think if someone has got a loss on their record that they're no good.
It's the end of their career.
But I don't think it's a major issue, as long as it's not something that's happening often, it's not reoccurring, happening all the time with a loss here and there early in the career. If you're learning from it and making improvements, which I feel like I have, then it can be beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, and then turning that around, you've kind of, what I was impressed with yourself is that you see a lot of the young lads that take a loss don't come back to the sport. They might, you know, it's not everything they dreamed of, and actually they found out it's not as easy as they might have thought it was when they were cruising those first fights. So mentally, like, it's very impressive that you'd have come back into the sport and continued down the path you were trying to achieve in the first place.
I mean, I would have, I had a few cuts after that fight that I needed to wait for them to heal up before I could get back in the gym, but I said to Steve on that night, the earliest I could possibly get back out again after that fight I will, and I think it ended up being early December I was back out again. Yeah. And when the loss was late September, I believe.
Yeah. So talk us through your kind of early career, you know, all the way through it, I suppose. So where's it you come from? What's your background in boxing through to those wins at the beginning of your career and kind of where you're up to now?
So I turned professional at 18 after having a long but short amateur career at the same time. I started boxing when I was 8 years old with my dad, and then he took me down to Hayes Amateur Boxing Club. I trained up until I was 11, when I think that's the minimum age you can fight at. Had my first fight at 11, and even though I was in the gym day in, day out, week in, week out, I just had nightmares of getting fights.
Right.
So I turned pro at 18, so in those 7 years as an amateur, I boxed 16 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which I had boys in my gym of similar weight who were getting that season.
Yeah.
But I feel like I boxed quite top quality the whole way through.
Yeah.
Especially my last amateur fight I boxed in Copenhagen. I boxed a national champion out there who's now looks like he's going to be a good pro.
Yeah.
And so then I just made the decision I always wanted to box, always wanted to turn professional. It was a case of either packing the boxing and go and do something else, because I wasn't really getting anywhere with it, or turn pro and have a go, and that's what I've been doing. And I feel like other than the one loss so far, it's paying off.
Yeah. And when you decide to turn pro at such a young age, what are the major considerations for you when you go into the sport? Given that you know the fundamentals of it, is then the business side, the ticket selling side, how far you want to go and what you want to achieve, how many years you're going to put into it, trainer?
See, the first person I spoke to was Steve and Kevin. I came down here, had a chat with them, and I remember after sitting down for about an hour or two, Steve and Kevin telling me to go away, have a look through the contracts, see what you think, and get in contact. I think they expected me to take a few days or a few weeks. I think so late that night I thought I'd call them back. But that's why I think it was important for me, especially to have someone like Steve managing my career from early. Things like weight classes and the amount of rounds I was fighting made a big difference to me being only 18, because I was a boy against men the whole way. And if I had it my way, I'd probably turn pro at middle, maybe even super middle, just because it was comfortable, easy to make. And
it's not.
No, not for me. And just fought whoever I was told I was fighting. So I thought it was really important for me to have someone like Steve there to guide my career at the right time.
It's a more professional approach to things, where you could have gone and done the unlicensed, say, and comfortably done those things.
Which we did have make a few mistakes early on. Well, not so much mistakes, but we noticed things were not really going our way, so we made changes. I started off as a middleweight. I think I had my debut and my second fight were at middleweight. I drew my second fight, and my opponent was just huge compared to me.
Yeah.
He was massive for a middleweight. I've never seen a middleweight like it. So we decided to move down to super welter, and it's all decisions like that Steve helped make.
Yeah.
Alongside
the training team?
Alongside training team, yeah. Barry O'Connell was massively involved with every decision we make. I know I normally don't get involved in any decision making.
Really?
I let Barry and Steve deal with things themselves, and whatever they feel I'm ready for, then they tell me I'm fighting.
There's a great team down there with Barry, isn't there? Yeah. State of Mind. So you've got Brian G and Sean Earls. Like people that know what they're on about and still have that love and enthusiasm to support Barry with everything that he's doing.
Yeah, we have a great team down there, especially with the training. It's always great because you can get sort of a mix. We rotate round on different days, train with different people. You might do a session with Sean one day, but in the pads with Barry. Obviously, Baz is the head coach; he's in charge.
Yeah.
What he says goes. But it's nice to have a mix. Everyone's opinion.
Yeah. And so, what are the aspirations for yourself? Kind of, we look at it next 12 months, and then kind of thereafter.
So the next 12 months is something me and Steve need to speak about a little bit more. But from what we were discussing earlier today, especially, it's just a case of not rushing. I know this will be my 10th fight coming up on 2 Saturdays' time. I feel most people would be thinking by that point in 10 fights I've only had 1 6-rounder, and that was unsuccessful. People would be thinking that I should be stepping it up. But we will make step ups in terms of length of round and opponents, but we're not going to rush.
Yeah.
Just going to take our time. I don't need to be fighting guys that are at title level without the titles being on the line, because I'm not getting anything from that at the moment. So it's just a case of keep building my profile, learning, improving,
and allowing yourself the space to make mistakes along the way.
So I can, because especially after a loss last year, the last thing I'd want to do now is jump in the deep end with a fight that I may not be prepared for, have another loss on the record, and then be stuck at square one again.
Yeah.
So I'm just building at the right speed and then hopefully progress from there.
Yeah. Okay, so further on than 12 months then, what do you feel, not where's your ceiling, but what have you got your eyes on title-wise?
On the way up, I want to get all the smaller titles, so Southern Area in English, but for me, British title minimum is where I want to be, minimum. If I can push on further than that, I would hope so.
Yeah. I mean, everyone wants to be a world champion.
I think if you didn't want to be a world champion, then
wrong sport.
You're in the wrong sport. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. And what are the kind of the main things? You're an 18-year-old that turned over pro. You've now seen a bit more. You know a bit more. What are the main things you would tell an 18-year-old now about turning professional? What would be the kind of the biggest lessons that you've learned along the way?
Just to not rush it. Don't jump it straight in with whichever. Just go and speak to one manager and sign with them and jump straight in the deep end. You got to think about things, ticket sales. That if the pro style is going to suit you, your experience level. For me, it did at the time. It made sense because I wasn't. My way of looking at it is, if I stayed amateur for another 3 or 4 years, am I realistically going to get that much more experience than I've got now? Because I was never getting fights. So it was a case of I may as well turn pro and learn on the job. But I'd advise other 18-year-old amateurs to not rush, make the right decisions at the right time. Yeah. Don't always make the decisions yourself. Have a good team around you who are making decisions with you and for you. Because as boxers, everyone just wants to be in there straight up at the top level and have a fight, really.
Yeah. What's the best thing about being a boxer? Is it getting in the ring and fighting? Is it the support?
For me, it's fighting. The support is a massive part. I think, for me personally, I've got great support.
You get those Brentford fans.
The Brentford fans turn up in numbers every time I fight, and the support they show me, even when I'm not fighting, even when I'm at match days or out, even on social media, is unbelievable.
Do you get down there a lot?
As much as I can, yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to, in camp, no. Out of camp, yeah, I'm there.
Excellent. And that's it, I think. That's probably all we've got. But where can people get hold of you on social media?
I'm on pretty much everything, and I keep it nice and simple. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram's all just Ricky Heavens. So
isn't it Ricky_Heavens?
Twitter is actually
Ricky_Heavens.
Twitter Ricky_Heavens. Everything else Ricky Heavens.
All right, cool. Anything else you want to add on the end of it? 6th of July.
6th of July, I'm back out looking to get revenge against Dwayne Green, and I won't be letting anyone down. So if you haven't got tickets already, then get at me for them.
Cool. All right, thank you very much. It's Ricky Heavens, everyone. And you see him on the 6th of July at your call.
Perfect.
Welcome back, and as if by magic, I'm now joined by Steve and Ricky together, and we're going to go through the Q&A as possibly the worst looking threesome you've ever found on YouTube. At least one of us is smart. Right, so I'm going to start off with some questions, and I'm going to try and mix them up a little bit, some that involve you, Ricky, some that Steve, but feel free to jump in. So, UK Boxing 11 on Twitter. Dwayne Sinclair losing at the weekend. Thoughts? And would you have approved an opponent like Fox before potential big fight? Poor management or a lack of management from Dillian and Co? Question mark. It's not a statement.
Okay, so let me firstly say that, like anything else, it's really sad to see, because I think I've done a great job with Dwayne. Brought him to the situation where we could have gone for titles together, and the second question is, would I have took the Anthony Fox fight? Not in a trillion years.
Yeah, because
every fighter has certain things that they need, and certain attributes in an opponent that they need to make them look good, and every fighter has a fighter that will, in my opinion, has all the wrong tools and will beat them. And on Friday, and I'm deadly serious, I wanted to have a good bet on Anthony Fox, but I couldn't bring myself to do it because I know Dwayne.
Yeah.
But to me, it was 2-1 Anthony Fox was one of the bets of the year in boxing, because he was all wrong. So there is not a hope in hell that I would have taken that fight for Dwayne. It's just a wrong fight, and he won 1 round out of 8. So I think that was born. And you know that that's what I thought before the fight. You know that. So I'm not being an afterman. That's what I thought. So as for criticising other people, that's not my job.
But it's not a fight you would have signed
It's not a fight I would have ever entertained. It wouldn't have even got as far as going to Dwayne. We would have kicked that one into touch.
Yeah. All right, there we go. A question for both of you, actually, from Daniel Smith on Twitter. If a fighter refuses to fight an eliminator, bar a serious injury, what would Ricky and Steve see as a reasonable action from the board or governing body? Mine would be removal from the rankings for a year or two and not allowed to fight a voluntary within that time either.
When you say move for eliminator, when he says, are they saying that he's a challenger or is he the? So he's got to be a challenger.
I haven't got the detail. Daniel, you've left me like that.
Because what he said is he's not allowed a voluntary, talking as if he's the champion.
To be picked for a voluntary.
I pick voluntary. Oh no, if you walk away from a board mandation, it should be at least 12 months or maybe 24 months before you can compete for any title again.
And there is
any board regular. I mean, what you can skip.
There's the unofficial rule, isn't there? Of if you kind of do it, then you might be frowned upon.
Yeah, they do tend to do action, but I think the ground accepted rule is if you do pull out, that they're not going to put you forward, but there have been exceptions to that.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, it should be a rigid rule. A rigid rule. If you pull out of fights and waste people's time, you should not. You know that what I feel about this. You should not be allowed to mess up people's careers
unless it's mandated. And at that point, you say no thanks. I'm going to go another route.
And if you do that, then the board can still take action, but they shouldn't. But if you go to the whole purse bid scenario and pull out afterwards, I think you should be banned for 2 or 3 years from any board title.
What do you reckon, Ricky?
I completely agree with that because you're just wasting time. You're slowing down other people's careers, and at the end of the day, you're holding belts hostage that way, aren't you? You're just making sure you've won something. You're not going to fight anyone for it until you're ready to move on. So,
would you take it personally as a fighter if a person, has ordered you versus fighter B for a southern area, and it goes to purse bids, and Steve wins, and then fighter B says, "No, I'm not taking that fight. I'm going to pull out at that point," and so you have to go back to square one with it all, and the board have to mandate a new opponent, and you have to go through the purse bids, and it's cost you 8 weeks, 12 weeks of a career, a training camp, all that kind of stuff. Would you take it personally as a boxer?
Not personally. I wouldn't take it personally because even though if it happens constantly, someone's obviously just messing around, but you never really know. I don't personally know what their personal reason for pulling out would be, but it would be annoying. It would be something that if I could get the chance of them fighting later on in my career,
I'd take it out on them.
Yeah, I would want to take it out on them for wasting my time. But unless I really knew the real reasoning behind the decision, I wouldn't take it to heart.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Where are we going to go to now? What can be done to get cross-platform and promoter fights made, i.e. Billy Joe Saunders versus Callum Smith is a current one for discussion. If Steve had a TV deal, what would he do or suggest to appease both sides? Having both platforms covering a card for certain fights is one possibility. It's from Daniel Smith again.
That's a good question. Really good question.
He always asks good question, Daniel.
Yeah, really good question.
He still needs to sort out what date he's coming to your show. Actually, no, maybe you did tell me.
I think he's down for one now.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Right, the thing, I haven't had a TV contract, so it's hard to talk without doing it. I mean, I think money talks, right? So, in the event of a fighter being in a mandatory position for a title people want, you go to purse bid, you win it, and hopefully they adhere to it. But in a situation where people are trying to screw each other over, then there isn't anything you can do. You can go to purse bids. We know that all the promoters in this country have done this. They go to purse bids, lose a bid, don't like it, pull their fighter out. They all do it. It's just bad behaviour. So I don't think there's anything in this world that you can do to avoid bad behaviour. What you would get from us if we were running a TV network is you get ethics and good behaviour in all the dealings and total transparency, and I would never ever go for a purse bid ever and pull my fighter out after a purse bid under any circumstances. So we would bring so if you have people that are going to do the right things with each other, then that's the only way you can do it. You can't force others to behave well.
But it's mad when you look at it. How long have we had Frank Warren and Eddie, specifically Eddie, not Barry, kind of going head to head? Nearly 10 years now. How many fights have been made cross-platform with them?
You had Ski, didn't you, against
Eggington. You had Derry Matthews taking on Ahara Davis.
Yeah.
I could count on probably 2 hands in those 10 years or so.
There's so much animosity between them that is, and my thing is, why do you have to have animosity with other people who are in the same industry? Why don't you try and work together? The only times I work with anybody, but obviously some people aren't well behaved and do the wrong things, so it puts you off doing certain things with them. But why can you not work with everybody to everybody's benefits? Because by not working together, it's just to the detriment of the boxers.
So if we break it down to the level that you're at, if a promoter rings you up and says, I've got a fight for Ricky that I want, and you look at it and you say, yeah, Ricky could win that fight, could lose that fight, it's a good 50-50, there's a couple of fights down the line, maybe for a title, but it's going to be on their show.
I mean, I've done it. I've had Waddy Camacho went on Mickey Elliott's show to win.
Woodgate fight, wasn't it?
When I John O'Donnell, we went on a Mo Pryor show. We won that. So I will put other fighters on shows. If
Liam Dillon was due to be.
Liam Dillon was going to be doing it, but he's still made. He's just having a problem sorted out. Again, if the deal's right, the fight's right, we'll work with everybody. It's not a problem. Not a problem.
Would you be happy going on a away show?
I'll fight anyone anytime as long as Steve's happy to make the fight. I'm happy to box wherever it is.
Yeah,
but it depends. I think I'm more happy fighting away if we're fighting in the southern area region, which for obvious reasons I think we get a fair shake. But I think if we're going up to the north of England, that's a different conversation.
All right, one specifically for you here, Ricky, unless you want to join in, Steve. From Sean Earl, a man that I believe you know quite well. We'll find out how well. Who's the longest in the shower after training?
Couldn't even give you an answer.
Sean, so childish, Sean.
As soon as you said Sean, I knew it wasn't going to be a serious question.
What does he mean by longest?
Well,
define.
We'll leave that to
longest in time or longest in...
Sean, we need more details, and I need your opinion as well. Mayor of Brixton on Twitter, Rob Martin. I've just seen that Boxing Social are televising a Siesta boxing card on their channel like IFL do with MTK. Any plans to have yours own streamed live at the moment through your YouTube channel, or do you think it's going to affect ticket sales?
Well, I think I've answered this question about 100 times before. So,
I was dreading asking this one.
Everything I do is for the benefit of the boxer. I actually spoke to Ricky about it, so I'm going to let Ricky answer this because he will put it in the boxer's words, and he will echo everything that I agree with. So I'm going to pass this over to Ricky.
Or else.
No, because he's told me his view.
On this before we started.
No, we didn't. No, we actually are. We're totally random. We were talking about it, and because I know Ricky's views on it, I can't add any more than what Ricky's going to say.
I think the streaming of a show is, for me at this level, is not something I would want involved in a card I'm on. Everyone knows the ticket sales are the hardest part anyway. And with a show being streamed, I get the amount of people I get when I'm selling tickets come up to, is the fight going to be filmed? Is there anywhere I can watch it? Is it going to be on TV? And it's not.
Yeah.
So they buy the tickets.
Yeah.
If I say yes, how many ticket sales am I going to lose? Which I can't afford to lose. I won't be fighting if I can't sell the tickets. Just through a show being streamed. And it'd be different if maybe the boxers were getting paid from the stream, if whoever was streaming it was them paying us or paying Steve. But if we're earning nothing from it, then I don't really understand the point.
Yeah. And I mean, well, what's the stress kind of balance? Say you're 8 weeks out from a fight, it's just been announced, you've just agreed with Steve. Out of 100%, what stress is getting yourself in physical shape and getting yourself prepared and switched on and trained, and what percent is sorting out tickets?
I know for a lot of the boys that selling the tickets will be top priority. That's the hardest thing. For me personally, I've always had quite a good support. I've never really struggled to. I don't sell ridiculous numbers, but I've never struggled to sell what I sell. Yeah, I'm consistent. I know just through regulars I'm going to sell what I need to sell to make some money. So for me, tickets are right down the bottom. Plus I've got my dad, who does a lot of the ticket sales for me, so it just leaves me to...
But if you then had to stream, or you had the added complexity of having your fight streamed, and you're suddenly going to lose 40 tickets.
Yeah, I honestly reckon I'd lose at least 20% of ticket sales straight off.
And suddenly that creates an additional stress for you 8 weeks out. That you've got to replace that.
Yeah, it's stress you don't want, because as well as it's stressful enough when you've got tickets sold and you've got to run the tickets around, collect money, drop tickets off. That's stressful enough. I can't imagine how much more stressful it would be on top of thinking I need to sell more tickets to be able to earn some money or to break even or to fight. Because otherwise you're not going to get fights. You're not going anywhere.
What would be the break-even point for you as a boxer, right? And it's going to be quite a complex question, I suspect, if I try and work this out. It's in my head at the moment. But if Steve said we're going to stream this show and you're going to lose 20% of tickets, you'd be pissed off. You'd probably say, no, that doesn't benefit us. What about 10%? And if it was 10%, and if by streaming it, if you use some of the numbers that have floated about, we're going to get 20,000 people in total watch your show.
It's not real number.
I know. So those 20,000 might dip in for some of yours, they might dip in for the fight after. They're not watching it start to finish.
For me, for a small number, like something like 10% of sales lost, as a one-off maybe, because I may gain a few new followers and supporters from watching it, but as a regular thing, no, because I don't think I'm going to gain 10% on ticket sales.
Statistics show that boxers do not gain from going on live streaming on small hall shows. They do not gain. The only time they'll gain is if they are on mainstream television. Sometimes that can work. So these kids that go in Ultimate Boxer, and that's tough competition, they are getting the benefit of Channel 5 viewing figures.
BT.
BT used to be Spike. They're getting BT viewing figures. Now that's different. You're talking about proper numbers on what I consider a proper platform. These no disrespect to Boxing Social, IFL, and all that stuff, but that's something for the future. It's nothing that's generating any cash now today to generate the boxers. So to me, I don't get it, and I've been asked by lots of people, and the answer is still the same. I'm a boxing manager. I represent my fighters. Does this decision benefit my boxers? If it doesn't, we're not doing it. I'm not there for ego. I don't want to be parading going, oh, look at this, everybody, you can watch all our boxers free of charge, and aren't I great? And then people writing on Twitter, Steve Goodwin, wow, kid deserves a medal. He's streaming our fights for free. We can sit at home and watch it. Poor Ricky's lost 500 quid. Don't matter about Ricky because Steve's a hero. It's bullshit.
Do you also think as well that it makes a fighter's sort of stock value drop slightly for the fact that they're being shown for free across every platform.
Agreed.
Anyone can watch it anywhere, anytime.
And the viewing figures aren't great.
There's no exclusivity.
Totally agree. I just don't get it. I don't understand the model. And I think the same thing is, Alcester is heavily funded externally. Right? Just leave it there. He's heavily funded externally. And MTK are heavily funded. Right? They're heavily funded. And good luck to them for being heavily funded. They can put them... But therefore, we're not heavily funded here. Everything is run for a boxer's aim, and we're not looking to build up a model and our name at our boxers' expense. We want to build our name with our boxers benefiting. And I know it's an argument. I know Al may totally disagree with this, but I do not see, other than people patting you on the back and telling you how wonderful you are, what the benefit is for the fighters. It's not a big enough number of sales on these sort of things to generate. Ricky's not going to go out and get sponsorship, right? On the basis of it being, in my opinion, on IFL, Boxing Social, whatever other platform it is on the internet, VIP Boxing, Steve Wood's one that does it. I do not see Ricky being able to say, God, look at these numbers, give me an extra $3,000 a year of sponsorship because I'm going to feature on this. If somebody comes to me and says they'll do that, then we can talk. But I've seen no evidence at all that a boxer benefits. All I've seen evidence of is a boxer losing.
Right, let's move on.
So if somebody can prove otherwise, let's come and bring me the figures and prove it to me. Until then, this is my position on it.
British Boxing Blog on Twitter. Apart from the obvious, brackets Lewis Richardson. Who is the best British?
Is that the most stupid comment? Do you know this answer to this? Do you know this? What?
No.
Oh my God. Go on, carry on.
Somebody had suggested that Lewis Richardson was the best British fighter of recent years to have not won a world title.
Do they know much about boxing?
Each their own.
Really not.
Apart from the obvious, Lewis Richardson, who is the best British fighter of recent times, say since 2000, never to win a world title?
I think Kevin Mitchell's got to be up there.
That's good shout. I almost feel like I can't include Mitchell because it was self-inflicted. When he had Katsidis at West Ham, he should have, but he went off the rails, didn't he? And
since 2000.
can't tell him out. Who's the worst fighter to win a world title?
Oh, now we can listen. I'll just say the best boxer of all time not to win a world title is Harold Graham.
Oh, that's cheating. You can't go with Harold Graham.
I love Harold Graham.
Very fun.
But 2 years 2000, I think there's so many versions of world titles now. People are winning them left, right, and centre. So I don't actually think it's a good thing since year 2000 because it's been so spread that virtually anybody with any relative ability can win a certain world title at certain times.
Right, I'll commit.
Go on then.
The best fighter never to win a proper world title.
Proper one.
Billy Joe Saunders. Because the WBO title is shit. Only kidding. Final one from Colin Middlemass. I know he's a little heavier, but has Ricky been getting any sparring in with his friend Zach Chelly ahead of his next fight?
I haven't actually.
Do you spar him
I haven't sparred Zach in a long time since we was amateurs.
Since he went super middle and...
Yeah. He's been in our gym a lot recently. He's done a lot of sparring down the gym. So I thought I'd probably end up getting a few rounds in before fight night. But the way it's worked out with who we've got in the gym and who's in camp, it just made more sense for some of the heavier guys like Bradley Spencer, Dominic Felix to get the rounds in with Zach and me get the rounds in with Curtis Felix and etc. So no, I haven't got any rounds in with Zach at the moment.
What's he like? I know he's a bit Marmite, isn't he, really? When I say him, I mean him as a bundle, a package. So his old man and him. Because they kind of come as one and the same.
Well, I've known Zach and Zach for years now, since I was a kid. I think since I was about 13, 14 when we boxed at Dale Youth together. And my dad helped train them then, so for me, I've always got on with them. They're friends of mine, I always get on well with them, so I wouldn't say anything bad about them. But regardless of what people see with, especially Zach Senior, being quite loud with his views.
Is that just for gaining the attention of the world?
The way I look at it is he's just trying to get the best for his son, and that's his way of doing it. They're two of the nicest people you could meet, and they're very respectful as well. So.
Yeah. Did you ever see him spar Groves?
I've seen the videos. I haven't
Have
seen
you?
the actual on the night.
Oh, I wonder what happened. You're not going to tell me, are you?
You have to find and watch for yourself.
So that's it for the Q&A section. So there we go. And that's it for this week. You got the show on Saturday. Details of that one last time.
It's on. You can get tickets on myfighttickets.com. Obviously headlined by Sean Robinson defending his title. A good fight against John Brennan. Good undercard. Mark Little is on there. He's leading the undercard, and it's a good night of boxing. So come down.
Last time, what are the doors?
Doors 4:30. Boxing starts 5. Should be done and dusted by about 10:30.
Are you going down or are you training?
No, I'll be training that weekend.
Has Barry got anyone on this weekend?
Not on Saturday.
Alright, so you get his attention and...
Yeah, so we'll be in the gym and then we're out the next Saturday.
Alright, so you won't see Ricky this Saturday, but you'll see him next Saturday, making his ring walk, getting in there and doing the business.
Get revenge.
Indeed. Alright, excellent. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe, even though we've hit 1,000, I don't care. We'll still keep doing it. Thank you very much.
Cheers.